I looked at the credits and it just says written by this fucking dude.
Yeah.
And then you go on to like Wikipedia and stuff and it says loosely inspired.
Yes.
Loosely inspired my ass.
You're listening to Potty Mouth Radio, the home of movies, music, television, and comedy. We watch the thing. We watch the thing.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to We Watch the Thing with Billy and Dave. How are you, my friend?
I'm very good. I'm very interested to talk about the things that we're going to talk about, the things
Me
that we
too.
watched.
This is an interesting week because we were talking about what new had come out, and I said, How to Make a Killing is out. And when I started describing the plot to you,
I said,
you
what's
said,
that?
you said, is that a remake of Kind Hearts and Coronets, a film I had never heard
And
of?
then you said, what's that?
And as it turns out, it is. So
depends who you talk to. I looked at the credits and it just says written by this fucking dude.
Yeah.
And then you go on to like Wikipedia and stuff and it says loosely inspired.
Yes.
Loosely inspired my ass.
I was going to have this same discussion because they do not say this is an adaptation. That everywhere you look for this, they talk about it being an original script, loosely inspired by.
To be fair,
and that's rubbish. That's absolute rubbish.
Yeah, they are the same. Well, we will get to the differences, obviously. But I have a feeling he has made he's obviously has to have seen Kind Hearts, but Kind Hearts was based on a play that preceded it, or which was then in turn based on a book or whatever. So they've both come from the same thing. But to this guy is the only credited writer.
Yeah, it doesn't say adapted at all.
Which is, I don't care. Even if
based on
something's in the public domain, you still should credit it.
Yeah, so I had this thought just recently, getting completely off track before we even start talking about these. I just finished reading all of the Hunger Games books. The first three Hunger Games books are pretty great. And in the final book, there's some kind of poetry, song-based stuff, which is obviously The Hanging Tree. You've seen the movies, you know about that. And I get the vibe that after that, the author, Suzanne Collins, was like, I like incorporating poetry and songs. So then Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes has a shit ton of songs and poetry written through it.
Tolkien did it. Why shouldn't I?
But it's all original stuff. In the most recent one, there is one poem which recurs through the entire thing, and it's Edgar Allan Poe's The Raven. Not inspired, like word for word, she is quoting The Raven throughout the entire book. Nowhere in the book is there any credit given to Edgar Allan Poe, which I find really bizarre.
But I need to understand. So is it diegetically like the characters are doing this, or she's just got it as an interstitial term?
The characters are doing it, yeah.
So she is now, Panem is now our world, which I don't know if that was ever stipulated before.
Yes, that was my first thought too. That's something that's never really been, but yeah, it puts it in our universe, but she never credits Edgar Allan Poe either in the text or out of the text, as far as I can tell. So it's really
that's garbage.
bizarre fucking thing to do.
I don't like
But that's how I feel a little bit about this, which I didn't even know was a remake until you said it, because it's not credited anywhere as such. So how about we get straight into it then? Let's start with How to Make a Killing, which is a 2026 black comedy thriller film written and directed by John Patton Ford, loosely inspired by, as
The Thief,
Kind Hearts and Coronets. It stars, of course, Glen Powell, along with Margaret Qualley, Jessica Henwick, Bill Camp, Zach Woods, Topher Grace, and Ed Harris. And I'll ask this because not everyone has seen Kind Hearts. What is it about, Dave?
It is about our protagonist is a guy who we first meet we first meet him pre-birth, but his mother was... in this heir presumptive, but an heir to or part of a very wealthy billionaire's one of his children, falls pregnant out of wedlock as a teenager, and is given the choice, get rid of it or get out of my house and have nothing to do with my family by the patriarch. She elects to have the child and nice but poor baby daddy who then keels over and dies in the delivery room, and she is left to raise this child unsupported. So she has to take many low-paying jobs and live in a poorer area of town, etc. All the while raising her son in the way that she was raised, so with culture and breeding, etc., and making him well aware of his familial history and lineage, even though he is sort of no longer a part of that. She falls sick. He sort of reaches out to the family, thinking that they will help pay medical expenses, whatever, and is rather, firmly rebuffed and said, "No, sorry, we can't help you." Mum dies, and he then, one of her dying wishes is that he will not give up until he has the life that she always wanted for him. And he rather loosely interprets that to mean, I need to kill off all of the people in the family ahead of me so that I inherit, all of the wealth.
Yeah.
And that is the main plot. You've got a love interest from his poor days and a love interest from the wealthy part of family that sort of come into it. But essentially it's him killing off all of the people standing between him and inheriting this fortune.
Yeah. So you obviously were familiar with the original because you were the one who recognized when I started telling the plot. I had no idea. I had already seen the film when you mentioned that to me. So I'm curious to hear your thoughts on the film because reviews are really mixed. And for the most part, they're quite mediocre. I really liked this film. I liked it a lot.
Okay.
I thought the cast were great. I'm not a huge Glen Powell fan, as we've discussed on this very show, but I really liked him. I really, really liked Margaret Qualley and her performance, and I thought her character was extremely interesting. And I had a fun time. I thought this was really entertaining. Yeah, I dug it.
I've struggled to try and imagine what I would think of this was I not familiar with Kind Hearts and Coronets, which we will speak about in its own right, but it's one of the classic Ealing comedies with Alec Guinness, generally regarded as the best of those Ealing comedies.
I saw that even it's considered by many to be one of the greatest British films of all time. It's on all
very
of those
high
lists.
esteem, along with several of those films like The Man in the White Suit and others, but Lady Killers being another one. Generally considered the best of them, and I saw most of those films at a fairly young age. Mum and Dad were big fans of the Ealing comedies. So I've got an enormous amount of love for them and especially for Kind Hearts and Coronets.
Yeah.
And I thought this movie was a hot mess. I think it missed the mark completely. It doesn't need to be a dark comedy. Like, you can take this story and take it in a different direction. But if you take it in a different direction, I think you need to take it in a different direction. And you could have taken this in a Patrick Bateman direction. You could take it in any number of things. I don't think it settled on any of them. I don't think it knew what it wanted to be. I think the writer-director wasn't remotely equipped to tackle this story because, to me, and I love Glen Powell. I've really liked him. He's now had two, for me, massive misses where, whether through his fault or the writer-director or both, his innate charisma, which is the thing that people like him has been utterly absent.
Just because I'm assuming the other miss you're talking about is The Running Man, which is another film that I really enjoyed.
I think you like the fact that Glen Powell is not using any of his innate charisma, which you find irritating.
So I did find him charismatic in this. This is one of the first times that I have found him charismatic, and I found him really likable. It's a very, again, I really like the characters in this film, and I find them very interesting because he's not what you would call a bad guy, and yet obviously the entire film is centered around him doing this horrific thing of killing all of these family members. But obviously a lot of this comes from Kind Hearts, but the story in general, I think, is a fantastic premise. And I do think it's executed very well here. Having not seen the original, I thought it was
the original. and I haven't got it in front of me. I can't remember if it was a book or a play or a book that became a play, but it's from the 1800s from memory, or the very early 1900s. So Kind Hearts was 1949, I think. From memory, the source material it was based on is from like 1901 or something.
Yeah, from 1907.
07.
Yeah,
like
so that's a novel.
That's a pretty progressive, dark story to be telling at the turn of the century, I would have thought. I'm really, really surprised that there was. I thought Kind Hearts was just written as a screenplay and made into a film. I didn't realise until we started prepping for this.
Then, I think even for 49, like when you watch the original film, I was like, oh wow, this is pretty dark for 49. Obviously, there is this new one I think is darker, and I do think this new one is funnier. It sounds like you and I are going to disagree a lot.
I didn't think this one was funny at all.
Yeah, right.
I don't think the ending is as good, but I did like the ending. I liked the fact that it went in a different way, and unlike, say, The Long Walk, where I think the ending went in a different way and didn't work, I think this ending went in a different way and it did work. For me, it didn't work as well, but I liked the dark ending.
I really liked it, and I loved the entire structure. Him telling the story to the priest. I think it's more interesting than the original, where he's just kind of writing his story down. I
thought it worked. It didn't work at all because he's not under the protection of confession. It's not last rites. He's just talking to this priest. This priest can go straight to the police and go, he's fucked.
Priests can't do that.
He can't. It's not in confession. It's not. There is no legal requirement for him not to divulge this.
No.
To me, it didn't work at all. Whereas in the original, as we'll get to, it becomes the coda of the film is there is comeuppance, and it's comeuppance that is all believable, to me anyway. Whereas this time around, I went, nah, that doesn't work.
I love that change here that they're...
And
his comeuppance is again purely from his own circuit. His comeuppance now is just that he has to live his life with this.
Oh, it's a Gone Girl ending.
Person.
It reminded me of Gone Girl. He thought he was, going to come out with and he ends up you're stuck with the horrible person and you can't get out of it. Although he will get out of it because he'll have the sweet release of going to prison for all his crimes when the priest goes to the cops. But
priest's not doing that.
He was. You see him in the pub agonising over his decision. He's going to do it. But it didn't track for me if he was still holding out hope that he was going to be exonerated, because I got the sense that it was getting towards the 11th hour, but he hadn't given up hope that Margaret Qualley was going to come through.
Yeah.
Why is he confessing everything? In Kind Hearts, he has given up. He thinks that she's reneged. It's not going to happen. I'm going to my death. And he's kind of purging himself through the memoirs in the hopes, as he says at the end of the memoirs, that these may be of interest to someone. And that kind of works.
I think
I don't get Glen Powell's motivation at all.
I disagree. I think you very much get the sense that while he has hope that she might come through, I don't think he believes she is going to. So, that's why he is doing this confession and kind of unburdening his sins before he is put to death, because I think even though he's hopeful, I don't think he believes. And I think that comes through, particularly later in the film where he's kind of watching the clock and you can tell that he's really starting to think she's not coming.
But when he starts confessing everything, he still thinks he's going to get out. But he thinks, I'll still tell everyone about all these murders that I haven't actually been charged with.
Well, he's telling a priest. Again, he's telling a priest who is not
confession.
going to...
It doesn't work like that.
You don't think it's confession just because it's not in a confession booth? Like, he's a prisoner being given his last rites.
Oh, right. I'll let it slide. I I don't think that's the case, but what would I know? I'm going to hell. So I have tattoos. The Bible says I burn in hell. I liked Jessica Henwick a lot, as I always do. I think she's absolutely fabulous. I didn't really like Margaret Qualley in this, which surprised me because I normally would watch her do
she's
anything.
a deeply unlikable.
Oh no! I
person.
didn't
the character
like.
is.
I didn't like her performance.
That's crazy. 'Cause-
It felt almost hammy every scene.
See,
to me,
I'm not a Margaret Qualley stan. I mean, obviously, I adore her, but but I don't think she's always perfect. You know, Honey Don't. I thought
she was incredible.
She was
in
the
that.
best thing about it, but still,
movie itself
not
had
great.
issues, but I thought she was fantastic in that.
I thought she was fantastic in this. I think she's such an interesting character, and I think she played it in such a good way. And we're not talking about the original yet, but when I did watch Kind Hearts and Coronets, I was really surprised at how closely this does follow that. I don't understand how.
It's
they
almost
can call
beat
it a
for beat
loose
until
remake.
you get
It's
to the very
beat
ending.
for beat.
Yeah.
There is one huge difference. I do not understand in that film how he could have any interest in that woman. She is completely insufferable.
Oh, but but see, that's the thing. He makes no pretense of it. He had a childhood infatuation when they were very young.
Yeah.
As an adult, she is a convenient shag.
I don't think it comes off as well in that film as it does in this one. I think the chemistry between him and Qualley, while she is an awful person, I think because you do get more of their backstory in this film and you actually see them as children and see, I actually think that it makes a lot more sense in this movie. And I think, I like her character more, even though she's awful.
Yeah, I mean, it is. She's markedly worse in this as a human being.
And yet she's less insufferable. That woman is just horrendous. Her voice, man. I don't know how anyone
Did
could
you
be
recognize
attracted
her
to
voice,
that.
by the way?
I don't think so.
Because who gave it? I can't remember who gave it to us now. My apologies. We did have a patron request to watch Barbarella some time ago.
I believe that was Paul Leonida who gave us that.
It was
film.
Paul. Yeah,
Fantastic film. Loved that movie.
And the tyrant in that, that's kind of the bad, sexy, evil woman in black with the horns and whatever. Anita Pallenberg, I think Keith Richards' girlfriend at the time, plays the role, but she was heavily accented. It's Joan Greenwood did the voice.
Right.
Don't you mean, oh, you're pretty. You go back and have a watch and you'll go, oh. When it's disembodied, it's quite sexy. It's when you've got her there with the baby face and everything, then it's a little irritating.
It was irritating as fuck. She was awful. But back to How to Make a Killing. So you didn't find almost anything redeemable in this film.
It was kind of similar, and maybe maybe Glen Powell just needs to do something a little bit different out of the box or something. It's similar to the way I felt with Running Man, that I didn't hate it. I just think it fell short on almost every metric for me. All the things that I was, and I went into it quite high because I like Glen Powell. Even before I knew the story, I thought, the idea, it sounds, Glen Powell in any sort of a crime caper, whatever. Yeah. I'm here for it. All of the cast are people that I normally really like, and with the exception of Topher Grace and Jessica Henwick, I don't think any of them really did close to their good work. Ed Harris is utterly wasted. Anyone could be playing that shadowy figure whose face you don't even see until the last 2 seconds. And
but that final fight scene between them in the mansion, that's pretty great. Ed Harris does good work there.
Well, he does good work for his age, but I don't think that...
I'm a Zach Woods fan. I think Zach Woods is really good. I think
who was Zach Woods in this?
He's the artist who gets killed, the fiancé.
Oh, yeah. He was good. He was good. And I appreciated some of the changes made to... Obviously, you don't have the shtick in this of one actor playing all of the family, which I think is one of the things that kind of makes Kind Hearts such a special film, is that we'll get to it.
That.
Oh, wow. Okay. Not looking forward to that chat now. this is obviously just a much more traditional film.
So you would rather this be the Nutty Professor? Like, in all honesty.
No, that shtick doesn't fly now. Eddie Murphy killed that idea for all time.
Yeah.
It can't be done, even if you had an actor of that caliber, partly because obviously you're not a 1949 black and white film where you can forgive some of the shortcomings of makeup and things because the picture quality is not quite as good, and you can feel, that shit won't fly now with the quality of cameras and everything. You really can't get away with it without employing CG, and that defeats the whole purpose. So I get you can't do that, and this had to be different. And I liked most of the cast. I think Topher Grace is doing a lot of interesting things these days. He was the best thing by far about that terrible Mel Gibson film. He was probably the best performance in this film. I didn't even recognize him. I was like, oh, this dude looks a bit like Topher Grace for like the first 10 minutes before I went, holy shit, it is. Because I think his performance is so enjoyable, but with the hair and everything, I didn't even pick him straight away. He and Jess Henwick are great. Everyone else that I thought I would really like, all of them, I didn't really like their performances.
That's interesting. That's really interesting. I wasn't going to do this, but
Big Disney's big call.
This is a much more enjoyable film than Kind Hearts and Coronets by a massive stretch.
That is an insane statement.
This is a much more enjoyable film. Like Kind Hearts is a good movie. It's a good movie, but it is weaker than this in a lot of ways, I think. So, there's that. How are you scoring this out of 10?
Oh, look. When the credits rolled at the end, I was like, that is a piece of shit. I watched it with Leah. She was like, that's not a good movie. Looking back and thinking of some of the other pieces of shit I've seen in the last 2-3 weeks, I'm going to settle on like just a flat 5.
Yeah, look, it's not an exceptional movie. I'm trying
to divorce myself from the comparison because if I think too much about the two of them side by side, I'm going to give it like a 2 because I think it genuinely missed the brief. It missed it. I think whatever his name is, this writer-director was not equipped to make this film. I think this could have been a very good film in better hands. I think he just wasn't up to the task, and I feel bad for the cast because I think most of the blame lies with the writer-director. So I'm trying to just look at it as a thing by itself and not what it was trying to do. And yeah, it's I will never watch this film again. It's a 5.
That's crazy. Look, I thought it was well written. I thought it was well directed. I liked all of the acting. I had a fun time with this movie. And as I said, I wasn't at all familiar with the Ailing original.
Yep.
But, look, is this going to be a film that pops into my head at the end of the year when I'm thinking of my top of the year list? No. It's also not going to be a film that pops in when I'm thinking of my worst of the year list. But I'm at least a 6.5, if not a 7 on this film. Like, I had a really good time with it. I'd watch it again. If Noosk and I were looking for a movie to go see and this is still showing, I'd be like, yeah, let's go see this. I think she'd like it. Yeah, I had fun.
Okay, gun to your head. What would you even do with $1 billion?
Why do you have a gun to my head? Since the day I was born, my mother told me we were different. Yes, she had been disowned by her family, but someday I would become the sole heir. The real estate, planes, an island or two.
Beckett, no way. So are you living in the city now?
Yeah, I do. A little outside of it.
Whatever happened to the Redfellow family fortune?
I'll inherit it. Someday.
Well, call me when you've killed them all.
There were 7 of them. 7 rich pricks between myself and $28 billion. If I were to prune a few branches of the family tree.
Wait, who are you?
I'm Beckett.
Two calls, 2 emails.
Been occupied.
With what?
Occupations.
Been working your way up the financial ladder. Filthy business, though.
Hope this isn't a bad time. We had an agreement.
You don't get out of here until you come clean.
Have you heard about the Red Fellas?
What about them?
I wonder who's next. If I were you, I might be nervous. Until then, I'm sure you'll make a killing.
Wow.
Sorry to disappoint you, but
Oh,
to
God.
disappoint you further, let's get over to Kind Hearts and Coronets.
This is going to hurt me more. I will never begrudge anyone enjoying something. I might think it's a crazy opinion, but I will never begrudge someone getting joy from something.
Well, Kind Hearts and Coronets is a 1949 British crime black comedy film directed by Robert Harner. It features Dennis Price, Joan Greenwood, Valerie Hobson, and Alec Guinness.
And Alec Guinness and Alec Guinness and Alec Guinness.
I'm not going to ask you what it's about because it's literally
about the thing that we
same
pretty much
plot. I was surprised at how much, even like some of the deaths are the same. Like you still have the photographer
yep.
with his fiance, all that kind of stuff. Look, I think this is a good movie. It's very, very similar, even down to him working in like the haberdashery store type thing. It's virtually the same.
It is
film,
beat for beat, almost identical.
except that I think the screenplay is weaker. And I'm not going to take massive points off for that because it's 1949, but it is a less entertaining film. It's a much lighter film. Even Alec Guinness playing all of the family members, there is an inherent silliness to that, which is not present in the remake. The remake plays it much more real, whereas there is an inherent silliness in Kind Hearts and Coronets. It's a bit more like a pantomime.
I don't find that at all because, yes, he plays all the parts, but they don't kind of make a big thing about it. He just plays all the parts and that's it.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't... When you don't have a huge amount of him playing the Lady Gascoigne, for example... Yeah. So it's not silly because he's not delivering lines or anything.
But you don't feel like there's an inherent silliness, and it's a much lighter tone. Like you recognise there's a much lighter tone to this film, right? Sort
of. Like this to me is an archetypal black comedy. Mm-hmm. It's intended to be a comedy. It's meant to be funny. It's also inherently a black comedy because of the subject matter. I didn't laugh once in this film. You're a miserable, miserable cunt. That's why. But there are some very darkly comedic notes in this. Like, for example, when he says, there was a setback where one of the Gascoignes was gifted with twins. Thankfully, an outbreak of diphtheria intervened.
And then he crosses them off almost instantly.
It's like, you just killed 2 children. This is fairly black.
Yeah. That was the one moment that I thought. But it's still, I don't know, everything feels a lot lighter. And it's not just because it's from 1949.
How to Make a Killing, I don't think, is primarily a comedy. It's not funny. It's primarily I don't know.
To me, a black comedy. To me, a black comedy, usually and traditionally, the comedy comes from the premise and what is happening rather than gags. Typically,
well, it doesn't. Yeah, they don't have to be jokes.
Black comedy should
be like this. You've got comedies that have jokes. You've got everything from.
It's the outrageousness.
You've got everything
like,
from
for example, in How to Make
a
Killing. Yeah, in How to Make a Killing, I laughed every time we cut to the him at the funerals. Every time we cut to him.
See, that annoyed me because I was looking at that going, how is no one commenting on the fact that this fucking guy with weird glasses and a cap, he's wearing a suit and a cap.
Yeah.
at every single family funeral, and yet no one for the first like 4 funerals before he's brought into the family.
Because
is
they're
going,
a rich family.
Who
They're
is
so
this?
up. They're not looking around at who else is there.
This is not a 500-person rich person funeral. There's like 20 people at all these funerals, and at every one there's this one guy front and center with little John Lennon sunglasses, a baseball cap, and a suit. And if he's not wearing the baseball cap, even when he's at a black tie function, he's wearing a fucking beanie. I was like, what the fuck? Fire the costume designer, because that's just stupid.
The beanie came into it later. The beanie started because he was trying to fit in with Zach Wood's character, the artist.
Yes, but
and then he was dating his fiancée and trying to fit in with her.
He was wearing it to functions when he's wearing a suit and tie. It looked ridiculous. And if you're trying to blend in and not stick out, you don't wear a fucking beanie with a suit to a funeral or something.
Yeah, the death of the twins, I thought, was probably the funniest moment in this film.
Lady Gascoigne. What was it? Something or other into the air. She came to Earth in Berkeley Square or something. Whatever the twist on the classic poem. It's hilarious.
One thing that I really notice in this film, and again, it's not just because it's from 1949, because there's plenty of older films but there is a distinct lack of score, and so the film feels very, very quiet. There is a lot of narration. This is a very narration-heavy film because
you find that with quite a lot of like 40s films where, and the delivery a little bit is affected to a point by the fact that it was still, and I know. 49 is not early days of cinema, but you certainly in British cinema you still had a lot of this theatricality because a lot of the actors were stage actors.
Yes,
so
I think you can
the
feel
delivery feels a bit like that, and the lack of score. Obviously, if you're when you're trying to evoke theatre, obviously you don't have score behind everything. So
that's what I mean.
It places it in that time for sure.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. Like I like the film. I do think it's a good film, but it feels very pantomime-like. It just feels much sillier, much lighter, less. I don't feel like it treats anything with as much weight as How to Make a Killing does.
No,
and that's fine. It's a different
genre,
film.
Yeah,
yes, but for me, this is a much shorter film. It is a duller film to me too.
I think all we're doing basically for the listeners is pointing out how much older I am than you.
I like a lot of old movies.
I know. I don't mean. I didn't mean it like
but
that.
I know what you mean. Like you were familiar with this film.
You didn't. You weren't shown. You weren't watching these films with your parents as a kid. I'm not saying I was a kid in 1949, but like my parents would have probably seen this when it was released. Like mum was born in 36, dad was 31 or 32, 1932 or something. So these are, and when I was a kid, we had Bill Collins was still doing his presentations of classic Hollywood films. So I grew up watching a lot of this stuff. So inherently I have a bigger fondness for it. But I also, I think, intellectually can look at them and I genuinely think this is an infinitely superior film in terms of succeeding in what it attempts to do, to create a black comedy for the style in the era. I think it nails 100%, 5 out of 5, no notes in achieving its goals. I think How to Make a Killing, while there are things about it that I enjoyed while watching it, I think it falls short on almost everything it sets out to do. It's just got good enough people involved that I can still enjoy watching it.
Yeah. So how are you scoring Kind Hearts and Coronets then? I'm guessing that much like a lot of the population who think this is one of the greatest British films of all time, I'm guessing you're 9, 10, like somewhere in that region.
I think I'm probably like an 8.5. I wouldn't say it's... my sensibilities are modern enough that it's not my favourite British film, or I would watch Trainspotting over Kind Hearts most days of the week, for example. Yeah. But I think it's one of the best black comedies of all time. I think it nails what it sets out to do. I think it's very funny. I think Alec Guinness obviously is fantastic, and he's the marquee name. But I think Dennis Price in the lead is fantastic and far better than my namesake in the newer film. I think he nails the kind of and even the transition from the kind of wannabe to, by the end, he genuinely has the bearing of the Duke of Chalfont and has the demeanor, like he's accepting his fate as nobility should, to the point where the executioner and the jailer are saying, "Oh, it's been an honor. I've never seen someone face their fate with such dignity." So his transition to grow into that role, I think, is done very well, considering the lightness in tone for the whole film. Like that shouldn't necessarily be a prerequisite of the role, but I think Dennis Price does it really, really well. And I love the closing moment when he goes, "Oh, my memoirs," and you just see it click into place, and he's like, "Well, fuck." And the other thing I love about that ending is he doesn't choose between the two women. You think that's what you're leading up to, and that choice never gets made because he realizes, well, I'm completely fucked. I may as well turn around and march straight back in and get hanged, because that's what's going to happen. Yeah.
All right. I'm a 6 out of 10 on Kind Hearts. I do think it's a good film. I don't think it's a great film, but, I think it's a fantastic premise.
How to Make a Killing?
Either 6.5 or 7.
Oh, okay. So then not a million miles between them.
Huge difference. No.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I can live with that.
Madam, Lord Gascoigne is not aware of your son's existence as a member of the Gascoigne family.
It's very stupid, since one day you might be Duke of Chalfont.
The Gascoignes were the obstacle between me and my birthright.
I could almost wish those people should all die tomorrow.
I suddenly conceived a brilliant idea. What could I take from them? Perhaps their lives.
My late son.
A great loss.
I really wouldn't be surprised if you'd murdered them all. I could almost believe there was a curse on our unfortunate family.
Indeed, sir, one could. It took a mere 3 minutes to substitute petrol for the paraffin.
What is it?
Oh, they're just burning some leaves at the bottom of the garden.
It's clear that you are insane. What harm can there be in one glass of wine?
What harm indeed. You rob me of words. Suppose we drink on it. I might be a duke one day.
Pigs might fly.
All right, well, next week is a special one. Next week we'll be doing a quick review of Crime 101, and then we will be joined by our good friend Drew Hallam of the Real Feels podcast and our Dungeon Master from Time to Die, which has been on a very, very, very long break, but who knows, it might come back.
It's been having a cocktail hour. It'll be back.
And we'll be counting down our list of our top 10 heist films, which I know you've been working on very diligently.
I have spent more time on that than I have on my actual paying job over this last week.
I have not given it a second of thought yet.
No, of course you haven't. You will come in very, very cold and give us Oceans 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20.
Actually,
Big Tizzle's big call.
I don't think I'll have an Oceans film on my list.
Oh, wow. I mean, I don't know that I will, but I've got a short list of about 60 films that I'm wading through.
I rewatched Ocean's 11 recently. Not as fun a time as I remember.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, did not love it as much as my memory is like, that's a good movie. I will probably have fucking Now You See Me on there.
Attaboy. You're saying that like I'm going to decry it. I'm the one who's been having to defend themselves about how good those films are for the last 5 weeks on shows.
Yeah, because you've been defending yourself on the third one, which is just an absolute disgrace. But anyway, that's what we're getting to next week. And then after that, I don't know, hopefully maybe we'll talk about Ready or Not 2, or I'm very keen for Project Hail Mary.
Oh, both of those. I've got so many things. But we also, if memory serves, I think it was in about October last year, we had Gerald on, and we did our top male vocalists. That would have been obviously a hunt, but I do recall we ended that episode saying that the following week we were going to do our top female vocalists.
Yes.
And for those counting along at home, it's been more than a week since October 2025.
So we will get to that over on Hunt for the Perfect Album. But I reckon when we do Ready or Not 2, we could maybe pair it with our top movie kills or something. And I don't know.
People as sport films. There's a lot of those.
Yeah, and maybe like top, book adaptations when we do Project Hail Mary.
I'll need about 6 months to prep for that fucking topic.
You won't get it. But I mean, let's say we do that 2 weeks from now. You've got some time to prep, so start working on that list now.
I didn't even know Die Hard was based on a book. I'm not prepared.
All right, so that's it from us. In the meantime, if you want to get in touch with us, you can do that at pottymouthradio.com or pottymouthradio@gmail.com. You can find us on the Facebook listener community where you can get involved. We've got a lot of responses coming in for top heist films, so if you want to get your word in about that before we record, then hurry up and get over there.
You've got about, what have they got? They've got about 24, 48 hours or something?
Yeah. And,
not long.
we'll catch you next week.
Yeah, we will.